Hey friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today we have some stories out of the Entitled Parent, Entitled People, and I Don't Work Here subreddits. Let's begin. Our first story is posted by Humpty Dumpty 95. Does this even remotely look like a uniform? This just happened this morning. I'm still shaking my head. I work as a manager for a gym. We are a franchise. We do have shirts and hoodies with the gym logo. However, I happen to be wearing a pair of sweats with rainbows on the knees, a t-shirt, and a big baggy sweater over that. In other words, I look just like any other person buying groceries. I was getting 10 1-gallon containers of distilled water for our hydro massage bed, so I was busy grabbing my 5th gallon when I hear someone clearing their throat. I look up. "Why are you taking all the water off the shelf? Are you guys moving things again?" An older woman, who looked like she'd smelt a rather odoriferous fart, whined. "Ma'am, I'm purchasing these," I replied and went back to putting more water into my cart. "Stop!" she screamed. This, and now I'm getting irritated. "Look, lady, I have 3 more gallons to grab. It's—" "How dare you? How dare you?" She pointed her finger literally in my face and then shuffled away. There was another guy in the aisle and he kind of chuckled under his breath as he shook his head. What a nut. I of course agreed, and then I started heading towards the self-checkout where I spotted the old woman accompanied by a store supervisor coming back. "Tell this young lady that she can't be moving shelves around. I also want her to apologize for speaking to me rudely. Otherwise, I'll be taking my business elsewhere." The supervisor looked at me, then her, visibly deflated. "Ma'am, she doesn't work here." The old woman starts screaming about how she's lying because she always sees me here, while the supervisor clearly points out that I'm wearing sweats and not a uniform. Meanwhile, I'm pretty much done ringing up the waters. The supervisor just apologizes to me and tells me I'm good to leave. I hear Granny start yelling again about how everyone that works at the store are liars and they move things around on purpose. Legend is she's still screaming. On to our next story. Our next story is posted by Saturday Night Alright. Lady with kids lost her mind at Harley Quinn movie. I was seeing the new Harley Quinn movie. When I walked in, I noticed quite a few kids. This movie is a hard R rating. First violent scene happened, the kids screamed. Then the mom started screaming, "I thought this was a comic book movie." She left a few minutes later and came back with one of the movie theater staff, loudly saying that this movie was inappropriate. The staff member quieted her down and escorted her and her kids out while she bitched about how the movie wasn't good for her children. No S, Sherlock. Look at the rating first. Yeah, I always found this irritating, people who bring their kids into movies that are inappropriate. When I saw Sicario 2, there was a mom and dad that brought their infant in with them, and I mean, that movie was a hard R rating, and it was like, why are you doing this? I mean, there's a scene where a guy shoots another character in the face, and it's like, you think this is a good idea for your kids to see this? I just think it's irritating when people don't look up the rating for a movie and just assume that you can bring your kids to any movie. Anyway, on to our next story. Our next story is posted by Spooky Shadow. Entitled Parent thinks we should accept her expired coupons because she's a working mother. So I work at a grocery store and have a lot of stories I could post on here, but this one stands out to me the most. Cast: Karen equals entitled mother. I was working on checkout and a very obvious Karen was in the line, talking very loudly, obnoxiously about stuff like how long she had to wait, how she deserved to go first because she is a working mother who needs to get home to her kids, etc., etc. Once it's her turn in line, she threw a bunch of coupons onto the register and said something along the lines of, "That should cover it." Now the amount of groceries she had added up to about 150 euros. I started scanning in her coupons and realized they were all expired by a couple of months. It was something like this. Me: "I'm sorry, but these coupons are expired." Karen: "You'll make an exception." Me: "I'm sorry, but we scan coupons and the register only accepts them if they're valid. There is nothing I can do." Karen: "I'm a regular customer here. I refuse to leave until I get my deserved discount." At this point, she was getting pretty heated, and I, being the type of person I am, tried to explain to her again as nicely as I could. She demanded to see the manager, who I told was unavailable at the moment. The manager was on lunch and was not in the store. She said she'd wait. I told her no problem, but I asked her to wait to the side of the register as a long line had formed in the 10 minutes that that they had been speaking. But of course, Karen wouldn't leave. Karen, no, I'm in line and I'm a paying customer. You cannot ask me to leave the line. I'm waiting. Me, I'm sorry, but considering that you're trying to use expired coupons to get your groceries, you're not currently a paying customer. So if you would please step to the side, I have a long line of paying customers behind you. Karen looked shocked, probably because this was the first time I had said something rude in the time that I was serving her. She tried to argue with me, but I took her groceries and placed them to the side of the register, all while she was yelling, "I have no right to touch her belongings." I began serving other customers, which was difficult because Karen had been nagging in my ear the whole time, saying stuff like, "I'll get you fired. I'm a working mother and you should make an exception," and "This is discrimination." Other customers at this stage were looking at me and rolling their eyes and sighing, while others were trying to hold back their laughs at how ridiculous she sounded. Eventually, my manager came by and basically told her everything I did. Karen got even more rowdy than before and ended up having to be asked to leave, to which, of course, she wouldn't, and we had to get security to escort her out, which of course she was not happy about. She yelled the whole way out of the store, shouting to other customers about how the store should be shut down, blah blah blah. So I spoke to another co-worker after this. They said that she had tried this before, but didn't fight as much as the other co-workers, wasn't as patient as I was. I guess she thought she could crack me because I was quieter or whatever. She has come into the store since. She even had the audacity to hand me another expired coupon, but this time I just get the coupon of euros off her shopping. I didn't feel like dealing with her that particular day, so I just ripped up the coupon and threw it away. She started screaming at me and I just told her it was expired and therefore void. She is a common annoyance in my workplace, but all of the other workers have just started disposing of any invalid coupons, so she didn't have a chance to keep annoying us. Hopefully she gets the message soon. Well, she's a Karen, so she'll probably not get the message soon. I mean, how many times do people have to, rip up your voided coupons in order to get them to leave? I don't know which European country this took place in or what, but I know in the US, coupons typically have a period or a amount of time at the bottom of the coupon telling you how long it's good for. Is it really that difficult for Karen to look at the coupon and go, "Oh, maybe I should do my shopping on this date"? Anyways, our next story is posted by KissyChrissy04. Coworker thinks she's entitled to my baby. I had to run to the store to get formula and decided to bring my 9-week-old into the store with me. It was the first time taking her anywhere other than the doctor, so I was a little nervous. I decided to carry her and keep her covered since I was only getting one thing. I grabbed the formula and made my way to the checkouts when a co-worker saw me. I didn't see her, but she came straight over and tried to uncover my baby without even saying anything to me. I put my hand out, stopping her, and asked her what she thought she was doing. She told me she wanted to see and hold my baby since I haven't really posted her on social media. I told her the correct thing to do was to ask, but even if she did ask, I would say no, because it's flu and RSV season, and I didn't want people in her face or holding her. She muttered something under her breath and walked off, and I walked to the checkouts. A couple of hours after I got home, I was scrolling through Facebook and saw that she had posted about me. It said, "I saw OP at the store today. She shoved me away from her, saying I couldn't even hold her baby. I couldn't even look at her baby." Parents need to stop being selfish with their babies. Sometimes a baby's smile is all a person needs to make it through their day. Stop being selfish. Although I really wanted to respond to her post, I stopped myself. Why do some people think that babies are public property? If my baby is covered up, I don't want people in her face. No one is entitled to my baby but myself and her father. I couldn't agree more, OP. Anyway, our final post is by T. Chula Udaku, entitled "Father Tries to Kick Me Out of University." In my freshman year, I was roommates with a guy who had fairly well-off parents. Let's call him John. John was a child actor, although he isn't one that you'd recognize immediately. He played side characters on a big sitcom and did a couple of voice acting jobs on some pretty popular kids' TV shows. His parents have pretty high expectations of him and were very strict with him and his acting. So when he got into our university, which is considered a top 10 university globally, his parents held him to the same standards, which For a now liberated young adult with almost no maturity, he did exactly the opposite of everything he should have been doing. He slept all day, partied all night, never studied, didn't go to class, etc. Yet his parents would call him to check up on him. I would always be mentioned in the conversation. They needed to make sure that I was a good influence on their son. They would tell him, they would constantly ask him if I was partying often, doing drugs, bringing girls over late into the night, pretty much everything he was doing. They wanted to ensure that I wasn't doing it and trying to keep their son safe. This goes on for months. Whenever his parents would call him during his midday nap, I'd be in between classes. I'd always hear him defending me to his parents, and he'd go beet red whenever I'd walk in and hear what they were saying about me over the phone. So I'd leave and wait until his call ended, since I knew he already felt embarrassed enough. I didn't really think of what they were saying either. I just thought it was ironic and told John afterwards that he didn't need to apologize, since they weren't his thoughts. Around the end of the semester, John is told by his major department that he would likely flunk out of college if he didn't ace his final exam in at least 2 of his 4 classes, and that he would have to retake the other 2 regardless of how he did. Moreover, that he would lose a scholarship that paid a substantial amount of his tuition. He had to call his dad and tell him the bad news while I was on the top bunk of my bed studying. His father is shouting so loud into the phone that I could hear through John's phone with my earbuds in. Eventually, the question is asked if I had anything to do with John's bad grades. And before John could answer, his dad determined that John was covering for me because I was a bad influence, and since I was around him all the time, I was the reason he failed. He was determined to speak with me and wanted me to tell him everything I did to his son and how I corrupted him. And when John said that I didn't do anything, it only made him angrier. After telling me that I would pay, he hung up. He already knew my name and of course where I lived, but I didn't think he would do anything with that information until I got a call from the university's Student Affairs Center telling me that John's father had requested access to my personal information through the student portal, basically a website with financial aid and enrollment information, and to change my password in case I thought my data was at risk. I tell John that his dad tried to access my information, and of course he called his dad to ask him what the heck he thought he was doing. John's dad said because John was failing, he was pulling him out of college, and he was coming in a few days to talk to me about my part in all of this. John asked him again why he asked for my school information. His dad hung up on him. I couldn't focus on this BS at the time since I had my own exams to prepare for, but as he said he would, he showed up as a fairly skinny, balding guy, desperately trying to cover up his receding hair by brushing as much of the stringy blonde hair to the front of his head. I came down with the flu right before exams, so sadly, I was forced to be in the room while John moved out, with his dad berating both of us while I have my earbuds in and feel like I'm going to puke. John looks like he's about to cry because he didn't want to leave. I peeked over my laptop to see his dad putting books and notes into the garbage and repeatedly asking John if he officially withdrew from the university until John just barked "yes" at him. John's dad then turns to me and says something along the lines of, "All right, now you." Again, I insist that I didn't do anything to his son except live in the same room with him, and his dad demanded that because his kid turned from an accomplished actor into a college dropout, that I should withdraw from university too. John is now yelling at his dad to leave me alone. I tell him that there is no way I'm dropping out for his ego. He demands my laptop and portal login info, and I tell him that if he so much as touches my laptop or me, I'm calling the police. This escalated to a straight-up shouting match among the 3 of us until the RA knocked on the door, warning us that if we don't quiet down, he was going to get the campus security to come up and settle the issue. The dad quiets himself, again, calmly asks me to withdraw again because it's only fair. I say no, again because I didn't do anything. There's a silence in the room. As he approaches the edge of my bunk, he's glaring at me. I put my earbuds in because chemistry won't study itself, and he asks me again, gripping the railing, almost hissing the question. I say no, again, because I didn't do anything. He finally decided that I wasn't worth talking to anymore and says that he'll tell my parents everything I did and that they will make me leave college college if he couldn't. And with that, he left with John. I got a text from my dad about a day later that both he and my mother basically told him and his wife to go F themselves and never contact me again, in far more eloquent terms. I then got a barrage of emails and texts and Facebook posts from the parents pretty much saying that I was at fault for ruining their son's life, that I don't deserve the seat at my university, so I blocked them. Every now and then, my parents would get Facebook messages or emails they would ignore. John angrily reacted to my graduation pictures on Facebook a few months ago. So, out of paranoia that they were spying on me through his account, I blocked him too. I hope he understands. So basically, his father didn't think that his son deserved any responsibility for flunking out of college. Wow, talk about taking zero personal responsibility. I mean, and thinking that it's everybody else's fault, that it's the OP's fault? I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. Anyway, that's all the stories I have today. Please stop on by Reddit to show the OP some love and an upvote. Links to the original stories will be in the description box below. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.